Preparing live stream. Should I add my little thing in there? You like that? All right.
I feel like your background makes me feel like we're about to do an HGTV special.
And doesn't it look great? All right, we are live. Let me hit the record button and we're going to rock. All right, guys, we are back on the Discount Property Investor Podcast. I am your host, David Dodge. My partner, Mike Slane, is out in the field today looking at some houses. I've already ran some appointments today. Get out in the field, run some appointments. This business is all about the numbers, all right? Today, I am bringing you a special guest, a good friend of mine. He's actually one of my coaches, and he's coached me on getting on the radio and marketing with the radio, but other things as well. He's also the one of the what would you call that, Chris? Co-founders of the masterminds, of the multipliers,
Which brotherhood,
awesome
baby.
Group. Awesome group. So Chris, welcome to the show. How are you, my man? Good to see you.
Good, man. If I'm hanging out with you, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Now I know Chris is gonna try to find a good time in this episode to take a screenshot like I just did. Catch
Yeah,
you
already get one.
Gotcha.
Going back and forth.
That's right. We like to take some screenshots here. But anyway, Chris, I'm happy that you came on the show today. You have always provided me with so much value, and I know that the listeners, the viewers that are going to be watching this are going to find tons of value in this as well. So I essentially hired you. Shoot, man, it's probably been a year and a half ago to help me get on the radio, and you do some awesome radio coaching. So let's talk a little bit about radio real quick before we jump into other things and whatnot. So I am still on the radio to this day. I changed my message recently with this COVID pandemic, and I saw my call volume drop down real low. I don't know if it was the message or if it was the pandemic or both, but I recently changed it back to just original type of message and didn't mention the pandemic or COVID or anything negative. Not that it's negative, but I just wanted to basically, in my own head, I was tired of hearing about it. And I didn't want to be the guy on the radio that was also pumping that information out there. So I'm curious if you have what message you're playing right now.
Yeah. I mean, we did this weeks ago. We had, with my marketing manager, about a 7 to 14 day turnaround for changing the entire messaging. But back then, if we go again, things have moved so fast, right? So when I say back then, we're talking, like whatever that's been 6-7 weeks ago, there were two really important messages we had to get out there quickly on radio. Number one, we're open. We're still doing business, right? Because a lot of people had questions. They didn't know. Are we still buying houses? Absolutely, we are. The second thing is we have an entire virtual process that will allow us to maintain social distancing. So even if people knew we were open, then the question they had in their head was, well, how are you guys going to do this and not interact face to face? And so we drove those two messages quickly on the radio. And I think that was a key pivot for us to do. Now, I am in agreement with you. It's about that time. Again, I know today in Dallas, particularly, I can only speak to Dallas because that's where I'm originally from. So I get updates. Dallas County is opening up more today, right? So some restaurants, I heard movie theaters, things like that. So I think the COVID-19 message is potentially getting to a point where we're tired of it. I agree with you. And so I think the shift potentially back to what is the best timing to get back to a regular radio ad, I think the debate is now there on should that be here in the next couple of weeks and what does that look like? But it's about that time.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So, man, I got to say, I love radio advertising. It takes the failure of doing marketing out of the equation, right? Like once you get it going and it's on autopilot, I don't ever forget to go in and, buy leads or skip trace leads. It's just something
that's set it and forget it.
Set
It
it and
doesn't
forget it.
require any manual effort.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's the
other than
challenge that we
managing,
have with the other marketing sources, right? So,
mm,
like direct mail, I'm required to manually get in there and tweak. I got to adjust my postcard. I got to, make sure that I'm communicating directly my drop dates with the mail company. I got to manage the high lead volume that's low quality coming in. And by human nature, here's exactly what happens. We yo-yo. Did a couple drops, mass amount of leads coming in. I'm gonna run over here and manage those leads and close those deals, but I'm gonna stop marketing. And then that pipeline's gonna dry up, and
oh
I'm gonna come
man, we've
back
all
over.
been there, right? We've
What
all
everyone
been
does,
there.
and they yo-yo between it. And what you want is you want a marketing channel that consistently advertises whether or not you as a human drop the ball. And you can't drop the ball on radio because the radio stations are the ones that manage all of the marketing for you. So it's set and forget it. All you got to do is just make sure two things: you pay your monthly bill to advertise, and all you got to do is answer the phone when it rings. That's it. That's how easy radio is. And I'm like you, I like things that are simple. I like things that are automated. I love set it and forget it type of marketing. And unfortunately, a lot of the marketing out there is a lot of work. Outbound prospecting works without question, but that is a high maintenance system to run. You're managing people, you're managing VAs, you're managing human beings. With radio, you're getting all of that off the table, which is why I appreciate it. It's easy.
It's easy. I love it, man. I think it's, so we do a lot of outbound activities as well, but we always have radio going in the background as well. With radio, it's so broad, right? That, you may have people that aren't on a particular list that have a problem and they get to hear that message. And that's a lot of the problem
It's a
with,
big one.
buying lists is, we're buying lists of people that we assume are going to have motivation. We don't know if they do or not, right? But just because they're, on that list doesn't mean that they are. There's a lot of people off of these lists that you can't go out and buy or even make yourself. Like we do a lot of driving for dollars in our business as well. But by having that broad reach, I love it because, oftentimes I'll get leads that come in and they'll say, oh, I heard you on the radio, and then I'll start talking to them and they don't have any of the other problems that the people on these lists do. Their problem has nothing to do necessarily with the house itself, right? It's something else in their life. And that house is just something that they need help to get rid of to solve another problem. It's typically an underlying issue. So I
So
love it,
I
man.
like that point. I want to drill down on it because what I call that point is radio is not list dependent. So the reason that things like direct mail, uh, RVMing, text blasting, the reason those are oversaturated in a lot of ways is because everyone's fighting over the same list. Now, those methodologies change on how I go after that list. I can text it, RVM it, I can cold call it. I love radio because we are not list dependent. We are advertising to a group of people that might not ever get a postcard, that might not ever get a ringless voicemail. Therefore, when we go out on an appointment, we're not competing head to head with 2, 3, 4 other wholesalers in the area. And I don't know about you, I much rather as an organization go pick up a deal in which it's just us talking to the seller. And as I do, that doesn't happen a lot on the other traditional marketing sources. You really have to compete head to head quite a bit. So I think that's a key point, is that it's definitely not list dependent.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. I'm super lazy, and that's the truth, right? I don't want to sit down and do crazy amounts of research and analytics on, certain neighborhoods. I just know that, like, if it's a good school district, I'm there. And if it's not, I'll still buy it, but my discount rate is going to be a lot lower when I'm calculating my offer, right? So the radio, man, it puts your marketing on autopilot. I mean, really the only thing that you need to do is record an ad and keep the bills paid. Now, Chris has been instrumental. I got to choose my words correctly here. He has been instrumental in helping me achieve very, very, very competitive rates in my local market. And he specializes in coaching people around the US on how to get on the radio and how to do it the right way, which basically means how to go in and get the pricing done right, which has a very special approach to doing that. But once you get in at a good price, a fair price, but a low price, you can lock that number in. So Chris, I want to say thanks again for, taking me on as a student and helping me. I've been on the radio at this point for, oh man, it's going on maybe a year and a half, give or take, something along those lines. And I do want to say one thing, Chris, your ad spend and your budget on your radio is massive. And I think that that's awesome. And I'm growing mine as well, but I'm nowhere near where you're at. But I want to let the people, the listeners, the viewers know that, this doesn't have to be a super expensive activity. I typically spend between $3,000 and $5,000 a month on the radio. You probably spend 10 times that. What are you at right now, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we spend 27,500. But what I would say is one of the reasons that people are not advertising on radio, because the question comes up, if radio is so great, why is not everyone doing it? One of the things that people assume is that it's not affordable. In order to do mass media, which is three things: television, radio, and billboards, I have to start at a budget probably somewhere around 10,000 is the number that I hear. You can get in on radio starting at $1,000 to $2,000 a month. My first station was $1,500 a month in Dallas, Fort Worth, which is one of the most expensive cities when it comes to advertising on radio. David, how much was your first radio station in St. Louis?
I think my first one
per month
it was about that, 1,800 or $2,000.
1,800, $2,000.
Yeah, but that's also because I didn't go on one, I went on two when I first got out the gate.
On two stations for under $2,000.
For under $2,000, right? So I could have easily done one at about 1,000, give or take,
That's
maybe
my
1,500.
point. And people are like,
Yep.
wow. And then they're like, were you getting a lot of frequency? Every time we say we're spending an X amount, like 1,500 for a station, or you 1,000 per station, we are advertising 100 times per month, which is the frequency that needs to happen to really get in and own the listenership. So you're doing the math real quickly in your head. I'll do it for you. That means I was running 60-second spots at $15 per 60s. And David, in your world, you were running 60-second spots at $10 in St. Louis. That is inexpensive. And if you look at, obviously, the cost to do that. And so a lot of people don't realize that. Now, David, I want to hit on two things I know right now that people are asking themselves. So, and I'm going to take a step back. When it comes to marketing, philosophically, the thing that you could decide to do right now, which is going to be to your detriment, is to stop marketing. You've heard it again and again, because here's the problem. You turn off the engine to the car and we get around this corner. For those of us that kept the engine running, that had the momentum, we are going to speed way past you. To those that stop, they've got to turn that engine back on and start to regain that momentum. That's going to hurt you 3 months, 6 months, even through the end of the year. So keep marketing, not just radio, whatever you're doing, keep marketing. The only thing you should cut off of marketing is something that's not producing, and you probably should have cut that before COVID-19 anyway. So cut off what's not working. But people do not understand this. Right now, people are like, there's opportunity, right? We know there's opportunity. The whole saying is, when there's blood in the streets, there's opportunity. Let me tell you an opportunity that exists right now. That's the ability to go in and negotiate contracts on marketing or anything in your business as a whole, long-term at a lower rate. This is crucial. So what I've seen right now on radio is, we know that there was a large exit of people advertising on the radio because they could no longer afford it. So that means that the radio stations started to get in trouble. They're bleeding. They are not selling as much advertisement time, which makes them the most negotiable I've ever seen in the last 9 years that I'm doing this. You literally have students, one call closing these deals. David, you don't even know this. One call closes. Here's my price, done. Let's go. Come in and record your ad and let's advertise. I've never seen that. That's crazy.
Man, that's awesome.
And so then here's a question that people are asking. Well, that's great. That's for, a month or two and they're going to drive the price up. No, that price is locked in for 12 months. So as things begin to open over the next 30, 60, 90 days, whatever that looks like, that means the remaining period of time when people are back out commuting, back out doing what they're going to be doing, we are locked in on a price. I was just interviewing, I don't know if you know Jeremy Brandt, right before I got off there, owns We Buy Houses, one of the largest franchises in the country, fast home offers. This guy generates over 100,000 leads a year, has spent tens of millions of dollars. And Jeremy said something profound, I thought. He said, you want to know why Southwest won the battle when it came to airlines is they got in and they negotiated and locked in fuel prices way before any of the fuel pricing went up. They locked in long-term and committed. The other airlines didn't do that. So when the rates went up, they were okay. And that's what I'm talking about. We're getting in and we're locking in these rates right now. And just like that worked, obviously, for the airline company being Southwest, that's going to work for you. And I'm not just talking radio. Anything you got right now that you can lock in at a discount long-term, whether in your business or your personal life, do it. When else are you going to have an opportunity like this to be able to know that the entire world is on the same page? And when you call in to negotiate, you don't have to explain that your business is going through a crisis. Everyone knows it. You don't need to give the backstory on what the problem is. We're all on the same page. So get in and negotiate it and make it happen. And then the last thing people will say, well, people aren't out commuting right now. You're right. So the lead volume for a period of time is going to be lower. It's not gone by any means. I'd say
No, not gone. Not at all. Absolutely not.
It's definitely lower. There's no question about that because people aren't commuting to work, but people are still out driving. They still go to the grocery store. There is a segment of the population that are still commuting to work. And to be honest with you, that demographic potentially is our avatar, right? If we're looking at who potentially buys our houses, or people right now that can't afford to stay home, that need to work and will do whatever it takes to get out there and do that. And so what I tell people is lock it in now, know that you have that price for 12 months and understand it might be low for the first 30, 60 days, but guess what? There is a dam of desire and need pinting up, right? People have needed to sell their properties and they're holding off. And when that dam opens up, you're going to be on the radio. People are going to know who you are, and you're going to be in front of that call volume that starts to come in from all those people that potentially had to wait. That's good business thinking right there, for sure.
Love it, man. Absolutely. There is going to be a flood of motivated sellers that are going to hit the marketplace here in the next couple of weeks to couple of months. I think it's going to probably, last maybe as long as a year and a half even. It's going to be a long time.
Who knows? But
yeah,
I
who
guess
knows?
They're going to know who we are because they've been hearing us advertise on the radio before COVID, through COVID, and after COVID. And the two things that we like the best about radio, David, is the fact that number one, you get celebrity status. You don't get that on a bandit sign. You don't get that on direct mail. You are a celebrity in your market because people that are on the radio are seen on TV. That's where the celebrities of our world come from. And then the second thing you get is instant credibility. You walk into an appointment and people go, you must know what you're talking about because people advertising on the radio are expert. It's the automatic assumption without question. So I am actually more passionate, more excited about mass media marketing right now, particularly radio. Out of the three, we do a little bit of TV, but mostly radio, nothing on billboards, but I love that segment and I'm super passionate about radio.
Yeah, me too, man. I love it as well. Guys, Chris offers a coaching program to help people get on the radio, coaches them on the proper techniques to go in and make these offers and how to negotiate with them. Also about the content of the message. He's got a really, really dope program. I love it. Go check it out. You can get a direct link to it at dpipodcast.com/radio. Super simple. dpipodcast.com/radio. And it will connect you with Chris to where you can get more information about his coaching program. Chris, I love it. Let's talk about some other things, man. What else is going on? I really just want to catch up with you a little too here. What other tools are you using in your business right now that is helping you guys?
Yeah. So if you look at the shift now that I go back and I size up all the moves that we had to make once this hit, as they say, you live life looking forward, but you understand it looking backwards. It hasn't been a really crazy amount of pivoting. Some pivoting, not a ton of pivoting. The major pivoting that we did, and that needed to happen literally in the first week, was getting everything to a completely virtual model. Meaning there are 3 people that I interact with face to face that I can no longer do that with, right? Being my company. We cannot interact with the seller face to face. We cannot interact with the cash buyer who we are wholesaling that property to, and we cannot interact face to face with the title company. So what we did was we got in and we built a model to where we could do all 3 of those things via video and via social distancing. And I think a lot of people right now have picked up on all those tactics. So I'm not going to break down every single tactic. At this point, if you're not doing them, you are several weeks behind. But I'll tell you, it's been interesting, a couple tools that we picked up through this process. That's why I like times like this, the challenge, a little bit of that pain, a little bit of that anxiety of like what we need to do causes you to dig in your business, poke around and find some solutions. One of the solutions I love that we came across is Rehab Estimator Pro, REP. Was not utilizing this
Great
before.
product.
It's a fantastic product. And I'll tell you why. The MLS system is the go-to system for understanding the after repair value. We all agree that that system is accurate, and that creates a universal system, whether you're an investor, a real estate agent, a lender, it doesn't matter, a bank. We all trust the MLS to help us determine what the ARV is. There's never been an established system on the repair side that we all agree on. And this is why I think investors get such a bad rap, because people are always like, well, I think that house is going to cost 30 to 40,000. It's always pulling that number out. Right. And so why I love Rehab Estimator Pro is it's becoming the trusted system for understanding the repair amounts, which, as I do, people are taught how to find deals, evaluate deals. But when it comes to repair, I don't know about you, but I was sent out on my own to be like, yeah, you can figure it out. Just walk the house. You're like, this is the hardest part, is to figure out the repair. So it's fundamentally a piece of tech that's an app that allow you to get in, figure out the repairs on a property in less than 13 minutes. But let me tell you why it's so valuable for us. We have been selling our properties via videos, right? So we get a video from the seller and we have to figure out what the repair amount is on that house because we can't enter the house. And then we have to communicate a repair amount that the cash buyer trusts because they can't enter the house themselves. So we're all making decisions off of video, right? Which is not this particularly the same as walking a house. What we've done is we've been able to pull up Rehab Estimator Pro. We literally open up that window. We open up the video we have of the house. And as we're walking through the video of the house, we're filling out Rehab Estimator Pro and coming to an accurate determination of the repair amount. And more importantly, we're sending that over to the cash buyer who trusts that system more than if we just sent over a piece of paper that said it's going to be X amount. And that's making them more comfortable to be able to buy property sight unseen. So I love Rehab Estimator Pro. Again, that's one value of it now. It's got a ton more values. As I mentioned, less than 13 minutes. It's accurate. It makes sure you never miss anything on a property. You can customize it. The deal is anyone in our company can use it. I like the guy who created it, Matt. Matt.
Yeah.
He's like, I wanted to create something that my bookkeeper could go out to a property and bring me back the right repair amount. Right. Yeah. So I didn't have to keep being that guy that was doing that. So I love Rehab Estimator Pro.
How does somebody find that?
Yeah, just go to rehabestimatorpro.com. Matt, and as I was talking with Matt, he's a super nice guy. He gave me a promo code on that of 70% off per month, long term.
Share that with the group, man. That's great.
Yeah. I usually have people DM me for it, but it's REI Radio. is the promo code, all one word, lowercase REI radio. That locks you in at 70% off per month moving forward. And as we talked about, this time to pick things up at low rates long term while you can. So that's a great little special.
That's a great one. Boom, dropping gold nuggets, saving you guys money. 70% off REI radio. Use that promo code over at Rehab Estimator Pro. Matt, great guy, the founder of that company. I was chatting with him this morning on Facebook. He is awesome. And yes, I interviewed him once, and he was saying that he designed it so his bookkeeper could go walk through the property and get the repair estimates. He's like, I wanted to make it dummy proof, and I've played around with it before, and it is awesome. It is really, really, really awesome. Love that.
Scratches an itch, man. It's an itch we all have. And if you're new to the game, I think this is something that's a no-brainer, because there's two things you can't get wrong on a deal, as Matt says. I love it. You can't get the after repair value wrong, and you can't get the repair rehab amount wrong. If you get one of those two things wrong, you're in trouble on a deal. So this allows you to make sure that you're getting those things right. So you can.
That's right. And the MLS is only good for the ARVs. You know, you need another tool to help with the rehab.
And his system actually does help with the ARV now as well. I don't know.
Yes, it does. I saw that in there. It's really cool, man. He has the ability to generate scopes of work, which I'm assuming is what you're giving to your cash buyers, and even make offers from that too, right? It's pretty awesome.
So it's cool. Absolutely.
Very cool.
And then the last one that we moved over to that I'm glad I picked up. And again, I'm out right now. So if you guys hear of anything I'm telling you, Dave, you want to talk to new tech right now that's just been valuable. I'm a tech guy from the standpoint of I understand the significance of it in my business. And so, you know, I've heard a lot of complaint, and I've been on the side of this about MailChimp. For us, it was, I'm trying to remember the name of the one that we were utilizing. It'll come to me. What's the other email company that's like MailChimp?
Oh, you got Constant Contact, MailChimp.
That's the one.
Those are the two big dogs, essentially.
Those are the two big ones. And there's one that we're using. It'll come to me. I get all these names mixed up, but, I saw a lot of people posting about their frustration utilizing those systems to email our properties out to our cash buyers list, which is like huge. It is the system that controls whether or not we get paid on a deal, right? And so we were really frustrated with ours. And the other thing is, through the process of needing to stay virtual, the ability to embed videos, not links, videos easily into an email blast flyer so our investors could watch them were really important. We weren't able to do that with our system. And so we moved over to Active Campaign. And so I'm a huge fan of Active Campaign. I'll tell you a couple of things else that we saw. I'm not a tech guy down the point that I understand why all this happens, but our open rate got better with this system. So it's just, which is huge because we have a massive cash buyers list. And so I think right now, last time I checked, we were somewhere around 18 to 19% on our open rate, which is really good on the size of the list that we have. So that's been really fantastic. And my chief operating officer just loves the system. It's got a lot of buttons where you can like click and submit an offer right there. Just makes things really prominent. So now, whereas before we get a lot of calls, we have people automatically submitting offers through Active Campaign. It has all the bells and whistles that we weren't getting before.
Constant Contact and MailChimp. I've given both of those companies thousands of dollars, and it sucks, man. I hate both of them.
I hear people complain a lot about them. They're frustrated. And so I was really glad to come across, again, I found that system through Ryan, because I called Ryan, who's one of the best tech guys I know. And I'm like, Ryan, we're dying over here. Like, what is the best system? And Ryan's like, you have to check out Active Campaign. I sent it right over to my COO. Literally by that night, she had already switched over, signed up, and was getting everything uploaded like that night. That's how fast she jumped on it. So she loved it. So we're going to stick with that one long-term.
So you're using that on the buyer side to market your properties or your contract.
Yeah, but we're also utilize it to email blast agents for deals, which is really important. So I think the agent email blast is really good. So that's one effective way that we're utilizing as well. So not only does it sell your properties, you can utilize it for lead generation.
Man, I love it. I haven't checked that one out before. I do my emailing through my CRM. REI Blackbook does it in the CRM, but you'd have to have all of your business and all of your stuff in there to justify it. It's $200 a month. But if you guys are new to the game or you don't have or already have a CRM, check this out. Active Campaign is what it's called.
Yeah, and I'll send you when we get off. They sent me over a link for that because I went in and was able to talk with one of the people that run Active Campaign over there, and I said, "What's some value that you can bring for this?" And they're like, "We'll do a free migration with a kind of a code or a link I'll send you." So that means I was like, free migration. They're like, yeah, we'll go in, we'll take all of your contacts from whatever system you're in and we'll upload those for you and we'll do that for free. So it's
Awesome.
nice to, I know for us, stuff like that, particularly at a large level, can be a pain. I don't like
Yeah, it
stuff
could
like
be a
that.
huge pain.
It
And
was
you,
nice that they do
yeah.
a free migration. So I'll send you over
Yeah,
the
send me the link. I'll add it into the show notes, guys. That's
yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
that's awesome. All
And
these,
what about you? Any new system wrapping up that you've come across?
you
That's been
know,
I'm just curious if you've jumped over to any new tech.
you know, I've been using PropStream for about a year. I wasn't really vocal about it until recently, but like I don't even use the MLS anymore to run comps. I have MLS access. Um, my partner is a broker, and my assistant. I'm actually her assistant on the MLS, so I have access. I don't even use it anymore. I do PropStream for all my comps, and I've been pulling most, if not all, my lists out of there recently too, which is cool. So I love that product. Also, I switched over to batch leads recently from Sherpa. Nothing wrong with Sherpa. Great company. They just were more expensive than what I was wanting to pay. And I switched over to batch. Um, they do three things really, really, really well, right? They do a lot of cool things, but the three things that I really like about batch, Chris, is one, they have very competitive skip tracing that's very, very, very good. So that's number one. Number two, they actually do list stacking, which I'm kind of new to. I've always heard people talking about it and doing it, but it just seemed like an extra step, and another service that I would have to have. So I never explored it, but now that it's built in to the place that I do my skip tracing, it's awesome. So if you don't know what list stacking is, let's say that you have a list of divorces, absentee owns, vacants, and let's say tax delinquents, right? All those people, all the people on those lists, we are assuming they have motivation, but we don't know, right? But if you have somebody that's tax delinquent, has a vacant house, and they're on a divorce list, again, we don't know if they're motivated or not, but we would assume that they're going to have a higher level of motivation than somebody that's not on any of those lists, let alone one or two, right? So you can see the leads that are on multiple lists. So you can then target your efforts on getting those people on the phone, right? If they're not answering a text message or a cold call, maybe we'll go and we'll knock those people's doors, right? So the list stacking feature, I think, is phenomenal. List stacking isn't new, but it's new to me because they've made it easy, right? Also on that same topic of easy, they don't have templates that you have to then bring your data into to upload. Any file you have that's a CSV or Excel, any of them, you can upload it and then it's easy to map. Whereas some of the other services that I've used, Sherpa was one. Again, nothing wrong with Sherpa, nothing negative to say, but you had to move it over to a template. So it's just one extra step that you could potentially screw up. And I'm lazy and stupid when it comes to some of this stuff. So whatever is simple is easy for me. So number one, they do great skip tracing, super competitive. Number two, they do the list stacking. And then number three, they do cold texting campaigns legally, all from the same dashboard, all from the same login, right? So as before, I may have had two or three softwares. Now I have one. I bring my leads over from PropStream. I put them into batch leads. I skip trace them. It then tells me if there's leads that are on multiple lists or not, and I cold text right from there. So that's the three things they do really well. But there's more things that are really, really cool as well. But, you know, those are the three components. So one more thing that I think is just phenomenal, Chris, like this is like one of the coolest things ever, is you have all your leads in there that you skip trace, right? So you have your own database essentially, right? It's in the cloud. And let's say that I go and I get all the vacants in town, and I pull them in and I skip trace them. And then next week, I need to do more marketing again, right? It's not like radio where you just set it and you forget, right? That's the ultimate thing. I love radio the most, but this is another great system. But let's say I go back in and now I'm just looking for the North County of my city, right? I've already pulled all the vacants last week, but now I want to pull just the North County. And this time I want to pull absentee owned, right? Which would include all of the vacant properties, but it would also include other properties too that aren't vacant but aren't owned by the absentee. So don't want to get too complicated here. You could even pull another list of just high equity, right? The point is that if you have people on that first list that are on the second list and you go to skip trace them, right? If you're not using a system that has your whole database, it won't suppress those leads that you've already paid for. So to me, it's like, you know, we spend a ton of money. You were just saying you spend 28 grand, almost 27.5 on marketing, right? Well, it's foolish to pay for the same thing twice, right? So if we're spending a lot of money, and in my case, I'm spending, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand a month on my marketing. I don't want to be paying 2 or 3 grand to skip trace a big list, or let's just say 3, 4, 500 even, if half of that list is in my database already, Chris. So what they do is they see the leads that are in there. They call that matches, and they give you a match savings amount. So they don't actually charge you for those leads. So why is that important? Well, one, it saves you money, but two, as your list gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to save you more and more and more money. So it's either going to save you money today by not charging you for the leads that you already have, or it's going to add those leads to a bigger list that then gets suppressed to save you money later. So I've only been using batch probably for, maybe 6, 7 weeks, not that long. And the skip trace I did literally this morning, it saved me maybe $30, give or take, which isn't a ton. I was actually excited because I need new leads, right? But the one that I did, let's say last week, it saved me $247 on the skip trace because I already had skip traced those leads and they were already in my system. So, I mean, 6 weeks, it's probably saved me a total of $500. That's more money in savings than what I pay a month to be a member of that service. And I'm 6 weeks in. So if you guys are doing skip tracing, I would highly encourage you to do it through batch because it's going to save you a tremendous amount of money on year 1 and year 3. And just imagine, Chris, on year 6, I'll be able to pull my whole county in, the whole county, right? And it's going to say, okay, well, 35% of it's already in your database. Don't skip trace them. So batch leads, it's actually batchleads.io is the website. Batch Leads Stacker is the same site. It actually has two domains. So when you go to batchleads.io, you're going to see Batch Lead Stacker's logo, but you can try it for free, or not for free. You can try it for $1. Pardon my language there, guys. $1 for 14 days. And they throw in 500 free text messages. So this service is cool because it's cheaper monthly, and then you pay a la carte for your skip tracing and your texting. They only charge for outbound text. They don't charge for inbound, which is really cool. And you just got to fill up a little balance. You can start with maybe $20. So you have funds in there for the texting, but it's going to save you a ton of money on the skip tracing, the lead stacking, and the ability to do your texting all from one place. So for $1, 2 weeks, 500 text messages, check it out. Batchleads.io/Dave. And that's how you'll get that $1 deal. If you go to batchleads.io, you won't see that. You got to go to batchleads.io/Dave to see it. And it's $1, 2 weeks, $1, 500 text messages. Check it out, Chris. That's probably been the most exciting new thing that I'm working with right now. Obviously, I mentioned PropStream. I think PropStream's great. But batch leads stacker is like, it's brand new to me. I mean, I'm 5 or 6 weeks in. And every time I go do a skip trace, more and more of those leads cross over from other lists. So A, I'm not paying for them, but B, it's logging that information. So right now, I was in there this morning. I already have leads that are on 3, if not 4 of my lists. So again, think about, 6 months from now, when I got somebody that's on 5 lists, maybe I have 30 leads in the whole system that are on 4 or more lists. Well, if I got a new guy or somebody that's looking for something to do, hey, let's get these people on the phone. Have we not been able to reach them? Why? What sources are we using? Are we calling? Are we texting? Are we mailing? Let's do something different. Let's try emailing. Let's try knocking, right? Those are the people that are going to be the most likely to have motivation.
Cool, man. I like it.
Check it out, batchleads.io/Dave. I'm going to put the show notes in all of the links and gold nuggets that Chris dropped on us over at dpipodcast.com/radio. It's going to have a link over there to get more information about Chris's program and how to connect with him. We'll have some information about Rehab Estimator Pro, which I think is phenomenal. And Chris negotiated a killer deal for you guys, 70% off. So lock that in with his code. What's the code? REI Radio.
Mm-hmm.
We'll add that in there. And then also either a promo code or a link.
Yeah, I got a link for you for Active Campaign to get
Got one. Okay, cool. Email that to me. I'll add that in the show notes here. I'll have it up in about 10 minutes. Awesome. So yeah, guys, check it out. Chris, thanks for coming on the show. Thank you for providing some value to the listeners, tons of value to the listeners, to the viewers. We're going to have to bring you back soon. Any parting words for us?
No, man, I think we touched on it all, buddy.
We did. That was a good episode. I like it. Guys, thanks for checking us out. Remember, you make your money when you buy. You get paid when you sell, okay? We're in the marketing business, no matter what business we're in, okay? Get out there, do some marketing, buy at a discount. Check out free wholesale course. If you guys need contracts or help negotiating and or repair estimate sheets, whatever you need, it's all over there. freewholesalecourse.com. Signing off.